This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on PM's all-party meeting with leaders of Jammu and Kashmir. The participants are Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Vinay Kumar, journalist.
A crucial meeting of Jammu and Kashmir leaders representing all mainstream political parties of the Union Territory met Prime Minister today. Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah, Lieutenant Governor Mr. Manoj Sinha were also present. It was significantly the biggest outreach which Prime Minister Narendra Modi has signaled and shown that the government is ready to start the democratic process in Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Tandon, if this marathon meeting is any indication, what are the key takeaways?
Before we come to takeaways of this meeting, the very fact that the meeting was held, and that too in a very positive, constructive and cordial atmosphere at the instance of the Prime Minister, I think is a major breakthrough. As we know, since August 5, 2019, when the centre revoked Jammu and Kashmir special status under Article 370 and bifurcated the state into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, there has been practically no dialogue. And rather, if I may use the word, there has been a deadlock. But then, at the invitation of the Prime Minister, all political parties from the valley, as you very rightly said, 14 leaders, including 4 former chief ministers, they attended the meeting. All political parties attended the meeting. In itself is a very, very significant development as far as the political situation in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Secondly, as the Prime Minister said, that commitment to the Constitution of India and commitment to the democratic process in Jammu and Kashmir is a very, very positive indication. So I think when the meeting started on a very positive note, with most of the leaders, in fact, being welcomed by the Prime Minister at his residence. In fact, PM said that post-COVID, this is the first physical meeting of such a scale being held in the Prime Minister's residence. In fact, if you know, most of the cabinet meetings also have been held virtual. So, in that context, the warmth shown by the Prime Minister laid the very solid foundation of the meeting. Secondly, the important thing is that all participants were given chance to speak. And the Prime Minister listened to their suggestions, their demands, their recommendations. And then, in his own way, the Prime Minister gave really the breakthrough and what you are saying, the major takeaway. Number one, the democratic process was already on with the local body elections in which people of Jammu and Kashmir participated in a big way. So, therefore, that democratic process has now to be taken forward. And the first step in that direction is the delimitation process. So he appealed to all political parties to encourage, promote and participate in this and support this delimitation process. And the next stage, which of course most of the attending parties were asking for, was the state assembly election. So Prime Minister assured once the delimitation process is complete, the assembly elections will be held in due course of time. No firm time frame was given because considering the pandemic and other situation, Prime Minister said even the delimitation process has taken long. And he said he would have called you earlier. Because of the pandemic, everything has been delayed. So let's now concentrate on delimitation process and then hold the assembly election in a peaceful manner with participation of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And then the major demand of most of the leaders made was restoration of the statehood. And in that context, the Home Minister Amit Shah intervened and said that the restoration of the statehood is a part of the due process. And he said that the government is committed to restoring the statehood to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, but it will be in due course and part of the entire process which is already going on, and we now want to give further impetus to restoration of democratic process. So I think by and large, the major takeaway was that number one, all the political parties participated. They all were committed to the constitution and to the democratic process. And they were all very keen to participate in the election process, restoration of democracy. And thirdly, which is a very significant takeaway, that all of them were given a very, very cordial reception and they were listened to. Even all the demands which they put forward were listened to by the Prime Minister. But I think a very important major beginning has been made toward restoration of democratic process in a crucial state of Jammu and Kashmir.
Very rightly put, Mr. Tandon. But if we see even the PAGD, which is called People's Alliance for Gupkar Declaration, there were some reports that they have their own set of demands and they would like to present their views before the Prime Minister. Mr. Tandon, they attended today's meeting. So it signals a new beginning of political engagement by the government in Jammu and Kashmir. And the situation from here may only turn better in the days to come.
Certainly. In fact, if I may say so, the Congress delegation led by Ghulam Nabi Azad and the BJP delegation led by so many people, including Nirmal Singh, and also the MOS in PMO, Mr. Jitendra Singh was also present. They made a pitch for rehabilitation of the Kashmiri Pandits. And I think by and large the Congress attitude was quite positive, because the apprehension before this meeting was whether the all political stakeholders in Jammu and Kashmir would be willing to attend the meeting and also promise to take part in the political process without pressing for a rather restoration of 370 as a precondition. But nothing of the sort happened. In fact, Ghulam Nabi Azad, when he came out of the meeting, said that as far as Congress is concerned and many other political parties are concerned, the issue of Article 370 has been left to the Supreme Court. So therefore, today's development, it has given the much needed political legitimacy to the delimitation process, which of course is the first big milestone in the roadmap to hold the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly election. And in that context, if I may say so, Prime Minister's initiative in calling these leaders has given a very, very positive direction to the days to come as far as the situation in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. But again, I must say that nobody was putting forward their concerns, whether it was about the arrest of people. And in fact, many parties demanded that all political workers who were arrested in the course of all these days should be released. But nobody demanded release of any militant or any person who is connected with the militant. So positive indication which has been given by political parties from the state will certainly encourage the center to move forward and rather move faster in completing the delimitation process and try to hold the election as early as possible.
And the Election Commission also held, Mr. Tandon, a virtual mode meeting on Wednesday with Deputy Commissioners of all Jammu and Kashmir districts to discuss details of existing electoral constituencies. This meeting was called to discuss boundaries of the existing electoral constituencies, intersections of constituencies with other districts and tehsils. And coincidentally, this meeting came just on the eve of Prime Minister Modi's today's meeting with all mainstream political parties and their representatives in Jammu and Kashmir.
Vinay, the Home Minister gave a detailed presentation, a resume of all the development work which has taken place in Jammu and Kashmir since August 2019. And also the meeting was informed that 205 state laws have been repealed, 130 have been modified, and 890 central laws are now applicable. The concern for Jammu and Kashmir people was that many central laws were not even applicable for the benefit of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Now the domicile laws have been changed, new certificates issued, and refugees from partition regularized. And J&K now has a formal third-tier governance structure with the elected panchayats and district development council. This is not a minor achievement. And if it comes to the financial aid and help assistance for the Jammu and Kashmir, even recently the LG Manoj Sinha signed one of the biggest district allocation grant of 12,600 crore. This will certainly empower the union territories, 20 elected DDCs, giving them a chance to make an impact. So what I'm saying is the center has been pumping a lot of funds for the development of Jammu and Kashmir over the period since August 2019, and all these factors have certainly contributed in creating a congenial atmosphere in Jammu and Kashmir. That is exactly one of the reasons why the leaders of this alliance, they held a discussion prior to meeting. The Gupkar Alliance people met, and I think they were almost unanimous in their view that they must participate in this meeting so that they can also impress upon the center what their demands are also particularly to restore and resume the political process in the state. That is larger interest to the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Significantly, Mr. Tandon, there was condition and the government did not press with any firm agenda on its part. And it was very positive and open-minded meeting, and the government indicated that it is ready to discuss all issues that the J&K parties are likely to bring to the table. But certainly the focus was on getting the delimitation exercise completed and holding elections in Jammu and Kashmir as soon as possible. If we see the murmurs from across the border from Pakistan, this will also be a big rebuff to their designs which they have on Kashmir.
Certainly, from across the border, some elements have always been trying to mislead the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and many misled youth become victim of their propaganda. But now with all the stakeholders, most importantly 4 former chief ministers coming together and also committing themselves to taking the democratic process forward, is a rebuff to Pakistan. There's no doubt about it, because their propaganda at the international level has been that the people of Jammu and Kashmir are not interested in democratic process. They don't want New Delhi to decide. And now we see today, and once the progress on the delimitation process is visible, that will give political sanctity. And I think if it is maintained, simple problem of statehood demand, Center has never shied away from that, as the Home Minister today promised, that in due process, once delimitation, then the state assembly election, elected government, obviously, Center is committed to restoring statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. So all these factors put together is a very, very major achievement as far as the central government is concerned. And all credit must be given to all the stakeholders also, that there was no call for a boycott of this meeting. There was no discordant note. Of course, everybody was free to put forward their demand, their concerns, and that also for the welfare of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, to which all the stakeholders today made a commitment that they all stand for the welfare of the state and for the betterment of the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
This Gupkar Declaration Coordinator and National Conference parliamentarian Hasnain Masoodi has told an English newspaper in Delhi that the centre should have initiated dialogue process earlier, but still, he said it's good if they have realized this after 2 years. So even, this Gupkar Declaration Coordinator, the voices which are important, and he's a member of parliament representing National Conference, he has also said that, even though it's slightly late, but it is good that this engagement has started. And he was quoted in his interview as saying that during the meeting with the Prime Minister, the alliance will get a chance to explain what they have been saying all along and what their demands are, what their views are.
This process which has started today is a path-breaking, but it is part of a larger political process also. It's not the end of it, because final outcome is yet to be determined. And the significance of this event, however, lies that the political signals which are now coming out, as I said, most of the participants, when they came out of the meeting, described the meeting as very constructive, positive, in a very cordial atmosphere. That signal, apparently, Prime Minister Modi wanted this meeting to send out to across the border also, and so that even if there is a debate on Article 370, even if there is a debate on any other issue, but it is within the framework of the Indian Constitution and within the framework of the democratic process in Jammu and Kashmir. So that will set at rest any speculation or any propaganda by Pakistan to the international community to mislead them about the status in the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. To that extent, I think the Prime Minister has achieved what he wanted to achieve from this meeting. And I must say that all stakeholders, the political parties from Jammu and Kashmir, joining this meeting and coming out very, very positive is a remarkable achievement, and credit must be given to all the stakeholders and also to the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Thank you, Mr. Tandon, for throwing light on all these developments, which are politically the most significant development as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, and as far as Prime Minister Modi's government is concerned, the first major political initiative we have seen in Kashmir. We hope that things will turn out to be better in the days to come in Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you very much for the discussion.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on PM's all-party meeting with leaders of Jammu and Kashmir. The participants were Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Vinay Kumar, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsd talks@gmail.com.